Chapter 2, Ghosts in the Hardware. You felt it? That moment when reality bends subtly or sharply, and for a second, you wonder if there's more to all this. A dream that leaves a mark. A synchronicity too specific to be random. The sense someone's watching when you're alone. Or maybe it hits harder: a trip, a trauma, a moment of silence that turns into something vast. The rational mind scrambles for footing. Coincidence? Imagination? Chemicals? Maybe it's right. Or maybe there's more going on. Something that doesn't fit neatly into the neurological wiring diagram. This chapter is about that maybe. Signals or static? The brain is a processor, sure, but what if it's also a receiver? That's an old idea, older than science. Many ancient systems from Vedanta to Gnosticism viewed consciousness as something we tune into, not something we generate. The mind, in that model, is like a radio. Our thoughts, dreams, and visions aren't just internal, they might be transmissions from something larger. Modern neuroscience rejects this idea, mostly. The dominant view is materialist: everything you experience comes from inside your skull. Your sense of self, your spiritual highs, your darkest fears, it's all neurons firing. But that view doesn't explain everything. Not completely. It can measure brain states during mystical experiences, but it can't explain why people across cultures, with no contact, report nearly identical visions during deep meditation, ayahuasca ceremonies, or near-death experiences. It doesn't explain why people who have never believed in anything suddenly see something while clinically dead and come back changed. So what are we supposed to do with this? The mind's dirty secret. Here's a truth: the brain hallucinates constantly. It fills in gaps in visual perception, rewrites memories, invents continuity. This isn't a bug, it's how we function. What we see, feel, and think is always filtered, translated, edited. So yes, spiritual experiences might just be intense hallucinations. The brain under stress, or in altered states, produces visions. But the deeper question is, just because something is produced internally, does that mean it's not real? Think of a dream. It's internal, but it can reveal fears, truths, desires you've buried. It can shift how you live. If a spiritual experience changes your values, makes you less afraid to die, more aware of your impact on others, isn't that real in some way? We're too obsessed with the binary of real versus fake. But some things are true without being physical. Some experiences shape us more than facts ever could. Cracks in the simulation. Let's go further. What if these moments, these blips in the mental matrix, are cracks? Glitches in what we call reality? Think of it like this. If reality is a simulation, spiritual experiences might be pings from outside the system. If consciousness is universal, your mind might briefly tap into a shared field. If the psyche is layered, maybe these visions are just deeper levels of you speaking in metaphor. None of this is provable. That's the point. These are theories, maps, not territory. But they matter, because they give shape to the unexplainable. And humans need shape. The fear of the unseen. Most people brush past these experiences because they're unsettling. If you admit they're real, at least real to you, you have to reevaluate everything. Your beliefs, your safety, your place in the world. It's easier to laugh it off. Label it as a weird moment and move on. But if you don't look at it, you carry it. It stays in your mind like a ghost in the machine, always asking the question you're trying not to hear: what if there's more? And not just more in a nice way. Not just angels and peace. Maybe there are darker layers, deeper currents. Maybe reality is more complex, more alive, and more indifferent than we like to think. Mapping the mystery. This isn't about choosing sides. Science isn't the enemy. It's a tool. So is spirituality. So is doubt. The trick is not to get stuck in one framework. Some people retreat into blind belief. Others retreat into blind skepticism. Both are forms of fear. The first fears meaninglessness. The second fears mystery. Real consciousness work lives in the tension. You question everything, including your questioning. You don't cling to the light. You don't drown in the dark. You learn to navigate without a map. A new kind of honesty. Maybe the spiritual experiences are all in our heads. Maybe they're echoes of something real beyond us. Either way, they're part of being human. Pretending they don't matter is intellectual cowardice. We need a new kind of honesty, one that admits what we don't know, but still takes experience seriously. Not everything has to be proven to have value. Not everything invisible is imaginary. This chapter isn't a conclusion. It's an invitation to look again. At your own life. At the moments you've brushed off, or couldn't explain. At the strange feeling that something bigger might be moving behind the scenes. The next chapter will ask, what happens when we stop looking for the truth and start looking at the ways we construct it?